What's good, guys? Welcome to my channel. In today's video I want to talk about session profiles, but before we get into the details of session profiles, I want to give you a quick introduction. So what are session profiles, why they work, why I use them, and how you use them, obviously. So let's get right into the first topic. What are session profiles? So basically, a session profile is how a session is going to shape from the open to the close. For the bullish case, that's usually we open up from the low, then the high, and then the close, and vice versa for the bearish case. In Forex, we have three main trading sessions, the Asian one, the London one, and the New York session. You can also see the timings of the kill zones behind, which are always in New York time. So the focus will be for the session profiles on the London and New York session, as those are the sessions that I'm trading. So I've only created or used those session profiles for those sessions. Why do they work? So if you think about what the market is doing, then the market is either trading above an old high or below an old low, right? And the second thing it's doing is to rebalance an inefficiency in the price delivery while doing that, right? So that's usually then to be seen as a fair value gap in the charts. So institutions, they manipulate price, as mentioned, above old highs and below old lows. Why? Because it allows them to enter their trades or their positions at a better price as the slippage becomes lower, because many stop losses in the orders get triggered once price is trading above old highs or below old lows. And when does this happen? It happens during kill zones. And why do we use those kill zones? Because the kill zone timings, they align with major financial centers opening and closing hours. And there you go, there you have your time and price being aligned. We know institutions, they push price above old highs, below old lows, and obviously they do it while they're doing business, meaning at their opening and closing hours. So why do I use them? Simply because it helps me to narrow down the most likely session narratives, meaning if there's no valid session profile, then the session is also going to be low probability. So it helps me to skip low probability sessions, and it helps me to have a framework to look for trades when we have a high probability session, meaning we can identify the most likely session narrative. So what is the principle of how you can use them? So basically how you use them is you take a look at the previous session or previous sessions. For example, for the New York session, you take a look at the London and the Asia session, and for the London session, you only take a look at the Asian session. So you use the information you can gain from the previous session or sessions to then anticipate the price action or the market profile of the session you want to trade. And it's also important to mention session profiles, they are only a tool of confluence. They are not a model itself to trade or to take trades. They are just one part of your toolbox which you can use to add to your own model, because session profiles are part of a narrative, and the narrative always requires a bias. So if you don't have a bias, you can't create a narrative, meaning session profiles should only be applied once you have a higher time frame or a daily bias for the session or for the day. In total, there are 4 session profiles, 2 for London and 2 for New York session. For London and New York session, we both have a continuation and a reversal profile. So the first one I want to show you is the London continuation profile. And you can see here, we have the Asia session and the London session. And what you can see here, we have Asia session manipulating or running an H1 high into a higher time frame key level. So we have an hourly stop run into an H1, H4 or daily key level. That's the first important thing you want to look out for. We have a manipulation into a key level. Then you want to see price to displace from the level, and we want to see an M15 or hourly changed order flow to happen. And then we have both criteria you want to look out for to expect London session to be a continuation profile. Once the London session opens up, you don't expect a large or significant manipulation anymore, because we have seen that already happening during the Asian session. So you only expect a small retracement into the first M15 premium array to then see a continuation of the Asian session order flow. Also, the invalidation for the narrative is always the manipulation high or low. In this case, it's obviously the Asian session high. So here we have the H1 Euro chart, and you can see here we have an hourly fair value gap, which is our higher time frame key level, and we also have an hourly stop run into our key level, followed by a change in order flow. Then we wait for London session open, and you can see here the Asian session high is our invalidation. We open up the London session, and you can see within the first M15 candle we create an M15 fair value gap, which is then our first PD array, and price retraces into the fair value gap, and then price sells off. And as you can see, at London session open we create an imbalance, rebalance into that one, and then we sell off. Then the next profile is the London reversal profile. Basically, in this profile you want to see the manipulation to happen during the London session open. In order to anticipate London to be a reversal profile, you take again a look at the Asian session, and what you want to see is you want to see a consolidation market profile in the Asian session close to a higher time frame key level. So this allows London session to manipulate above the Asia session highs into the key level, and then again you want to see the same things to happen. You want to see an M15 change in order flow, and then you can get into shorts aiming for the higher time frame draw on liquidity, and as in the previous example as well, your invalidation should be the manipulation high, in this case the London session high. So again here we have a chart example. This time we use pound USD, and you can see here price was trading at a daily fair value gap, and we took out the previous day's low, and then once we had London session open we had another manipulation of the Asia lows, and then we can see an hourly change in order flow once we closed above the recent H1 down close candle that led to the manipulation of the Asia lows, meaning we have now an H1 bullish change in order flow, and we can look for our entry to aim for price trade into the higher time frame draw on liquidity. So we drop down to the M15 chart, and you can see once we have seen the hourly change in order flow, we left behind an M15 fair value gap, and also we have the invalidation being the London lows. Price is retracing into the M15 discount, M15 fair value gap, and then starts to expand higher into our higher time frame draw on liquidity. So then we have the New York continuation profile, and again we take a look at the previous sessions. This time we can use both sessions, the London session and Asia session. That's why also the New York continuation is my favorite session profile, because it allows you to have even more information, because you can use two sessions as, you know, to get information from. And you can see here the New York continuation profile is basically a continuation of the London reversal profile, right? So what you want to see is London likely made the high of the day at the key level after running stops, and then you want to see price obviously displacing away, as mentioned in the previous video regarding the London reversal profile. At the same time, you still want, so once we start New York session, you still want to see the higher time frame draw on liquidity still being intact, because otherwise, if London session already trades into the draw on liquidity, then there's obviously no reason to look for another continuation in the New York session. Also, not only you want to see price not taking out the higher time frame draw on liquidity, also you don't want London session to be overextended. Let's say, for example, London session has traded for like 70-80 pips, then New York session will most likely be a consolidation or retracement profile, because as you guys know, market profiles, expansion is always leads to consolidation, right? And you obviously don't want to be trading a consolidation if you expect New York session to be a continuation profile. Again, we have here an H1 chart. We're using the same one as in the previous video. We have the daily key level, we have the previous day run of stops, then we have the hourly stop run, followed by an H1 change in order flow, and then price starts to trade higher, right? And as you can see, at New York session open, we still have not met our higher time frame draw liquidity, being the previous day's high, meaning we can still look for higher prices. Also, London session, as you can see, was only trading for 24 pips, meaning London session is also not overextended, so there's still room for more expansion in New York session. So we dropped down to the M15, and you can see here during London lunch we form an M15 imbalance after displacing from the M15 imbalance formed in London session, and we also leave behind an M15 lunch low, which acts as a level for a stop run once we have the New York session open. And again, New York session open from the low below the London lunch lows, then create a high above the previous day's high, the higher time frame draw liquidity, and then we create the close of the session. So here we have an example of open, low, high, closed. Then the second profile for New York session, the New York reversal profile. Again, we have the London session and the Asia session, and usually the New York reversal profile happens or is likely if there was no valid session profile happening during London session. So for example, we don't have a London reversal profile because price did not trade into a key level, or we have not seen a change in order flow, or at the same time Asia was also not trading into a key level or manipulating price, so there was no valid session profile for London session. But if, let's say, heading into New York session, we trade into a higher time frame key level and we take out the London highs or the London lunch highs, and then see a change in order flow to happen after displacing from the key level, then the New York reversal profile is most likely. Also, at the same time, it's important to be aware that both the London lows as well as the Asia lows should still be intact, because let's say the London lows or London takes out the Asia lows, then we would not have anymore an intraday low resistance liquidity run, because London already took out the liquidity resting below Asia lows. Especially on this profile, you want to focus on the New York open high low close. So you want to be aware that we open up, we see the manipulation into the key level, and then you want to see price showing you displacement or a reaction from that key level and showing you by creating a change in order flow that price is willing to reverse into the intraday liquidity pools, being the London and Asia lows, and obviously the higher time frame draw on liquidity. Again, we have a chart example here, and you can see here we have price trading above an order block, right, which is our key level, and price takes out the London lunch lows as well as the London lows, and also the previous day's New York session H1 swing low, and we trade into that propulsion block or order block on the H1 at the New York session open. So we have an hourly stop run into our key level, and you can see we have the London session highs as well as the Asia highs both being intact, and we also have our higher time frame draw liquidity being the previous day's high. So we drop down to the M15, and as you can see here, as always, the manipulation lows are our invalidation. Then we have left behind an M15 imbalance, price is retracing into the imbalance, and then continues the expansion into the London highs, Asia highs, and the previous day's high. And here you can see now a flowchart of all session profiles and the relationship in between the session profiles and how you should act based on certain conditions. As you can see at the top, the first thing before we start to even look for session profiles, the question is, do we have high probability trading conditions? As mentioned, session profiles are only one small part of your entire trading model. It's like a part of the engine of your car, and if the other parts are missing, it won't drive, you know. And that's the same with the trading plan or model. And here you can see just one part of a flowchart and see the first aspect, the trading conditions, and then the next question is, do you have a daily bias? As mentioned, a narrative always precedes a bias, so trading conditions and the bias, and then you can look for the session profiles. So if you like this video regarding session profiles, and you want me to make more videos, for example, about trading conditions, how to define high probability trading conditions, how can we establish a daily bias, and then also at the other end, so after we have applied the session profiles, how can we find entry models, how can we manage our trades, how can we take profits most efficiently, how can we permit into trades, how can we optimize our trading system, and much more. And let me know in the comments, subscribe to this channel and like the video. And yeah, I hope you learned something, and see you next time.